So, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Switzerland Global Enterprise, I would like to welcome you to the webinar Building Blockchain-Enabled Solutions, the Swiss Way. And the Swiss Way means with trust, with innovation, and with legal certainty. We do have a couple of housekeeping rules. Valeria, if you could show them to the audience. Exactly. So first of all, your microphones are muted, but we would love you to type in any questions if you have the chat feature, so those are enabled. And the webinar will also be recorded and made available to you right after the webinar today. And before we jump in, I would like to give a shout out also to our Swiss business hubs. So if you're a company in Italy or Germany or somewhere else and interested in Switzerland as a business location, please get in touch with us. We have an email address right here on the next slide, or also you can get in touch. We also can put it in a chat feature. Yeah, and now without any further ado, I would like to hand over to our very exciting panel of experts, and Tina Balzi will moderate the panel. I would like to hand over to you.
Thank you very much. Welcome also from my side to this webinar today. I'm Tina Balzi, a partner at the international law firm CMS Switzerland. So let's have an introduction round. Our participants, maybe Daniel Fritz would like to start from PharmaLedger. If you just could quickly present yourself personally.
Sure. Good morning, everybody, or actually good afternoon now. So my name's Dan Fritz. I'm the executive director of the PharmaLedger Association, which we'll talk a little bit about today. I've been in the pharmaceutical industry with Novartis for over 20 years in Switzerland, and look forward to sharing our experiences and journey.
Excellent. Thank you, Daniel. Maybe let's go on to Clemens Link from Provenance Proof. There we go.
Hello, thank you very much. I'm Clemens. I'm the director of Provenance Proof. I've been working in Switzerland for 10 years now. First, I led research and development in the Gülin Gem Lab. And now I'm leading Provenance Proof, which is a spin-off and own company out of the Gülin Gem Lab.
Excellent. And last but not least, we have Jonathan Lamas from Vetri Foundation. Please, Jonathan.
Thank you, Tina. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. I represent Vetri Foundation, which is a solution that enables individuals to control their personal data. I think it's very important when we speak about trust. It's been 7 years that I live here in Switzerland. That's my second company. I also created another company, Ferrum Capital, which is a technology specialized in blockchain that enables and helps governments, large corporates to understand the blockchain solutions. And we're very happy to be, of course, in Switzerland to benefit from the blockchain regulation, and but more that we can discuss later.
So thank you very much. So as we heard, the topic of today is building blockchain-enabled solutions, and we're very happy to have 3 undertakings at this webinar who are really effectively using blockchain technology and building on such to enable solutions. And of course, we want to know more about your solutions and what you are effectively doing with your undertakings. So my first question is to Daniel Fritz. As a starting point, where did you get the name PharmaLedger from? PharmaLedger being the name of your association.
Okay, that's a great question. The first time that I learned about blockchain at Novartis, we realized this has great potential in the future, but we can't do it alone. It's a team sport. We said it's a team sport. And therefore, we decided to propose a project with other industry members, pharmaceutical companies, to do a 3-year project to accelerate the adoption, the learning, the awareness, and the education. But it was not just the industry that was doing this, it was a public-private partnership. So we were joined by universities, hospitals, healthcare providers, and they proposed in their proposal for the project the name of PharmaLedger. And so we said, okay, that's good. It's a good name. It's a good project proposal. So we kept it through the 3-year project, and then when the project concluded last year, we said we'd be silly not to just keep that that name, because it's in all our branding and everything like that. So we are instead of the PharmaLedger project, we are now the PharmaLedger Association.
Okay, excellent. And so give us a bit more background, and please do so in all detail required, on the main focus of the association now, so that we can understand
Sure.
what your day-to-day business
Sure.
looks like.
So our going into this PharmaLedger, into this journey, a blockchain journey, we knew we had to prove the value of blockchain in different use cases. We had to raise awareness and education. We had to make sure we were addressing all of the legal, regulatory, data privacy aspects of this that's in the pharmaceutical or in healthcare. But we also knew that the project would end, and that something needed to carry on. We needed a lean governance entity or organization that would oversee the activities post-project. So basically, the association is looking to enable the co-creation of these projects, the operation of them in a productive manner, ongoing, the introduction of new products or projects, innovative ideas from idea through to a launch or so. So the idea is not to create a new solution provider or another, central authority, but to rather stay as lean as possible and enable our members to actually drive this, lead this, and realize the blockchain journey in the future.
Mm-hmm. So as far as I know, I mean, the project has been so far to enable and foster a digital trust ecosystem in the healthcare.
Right.
Could you add a bit more for our participants to understand what you really did and where the blockchain implications come in and how that is being handled?
Right. So when we proposed the project, we said our name for it was blockchain-enabled healthcare. But we realized as we went into this project together that this was not, only about blockchain in healthcare. It was about the collaboration, the culture of working together. It was about automation, digitization, transformation, all of these other aspects other than just, the cryptography aspect of it. So as we went through the project, we basically, the core of it was taking different use cases in the areas of pharmaceutical supply chain, clinical trials, and health data, and to apply a blockchain solution to those, and then validate that that a blockchain-enabled solution had value over traditional technologies. So I think what happened then, kind of in the middle of the project, was we're not really blockchain-enabled healthcare. It is more about a digital trust ecosystem. So we're taking a digital solutions, they're cryptography enabled, and then the solutions that we're providing are for the ecosystem. They are solutions that one entity can't solve on their own. And if designed right, these solutions in a digital trust ecosystem are adopted because it brings benefit to the adopters or to the users. So it's really kind of the blockchain approach of win-win and working together for mutual benefit.
Okay, excellent. Highly interesting. Maybe last question in this context. You spoke about 3 areas which you looked into specifically. Has one or the other use case gone live, like effectively?
We are not live yet, but we're getting very close. So the plan is at the end of this month to actually release the first qualified product, which we call electronic product information, which is also known as e-leaflet. So it's basically the package insert inside of a medicine box. And with that, you can have the latest approved version of that digitally available on your smartphone through an easy scan of the barcode on the box, which is okay. That's you can do that a lot of things with QR codes nowadays, but we think that this has a potential to scale in the future to add additional benefits such as recall notifications or information updates or anti-counterfeit checks or adherence reminders or disposal of excess medicine. So there's all kinds of benefits that would come from basically digitizing, reduction of waste and things like this that would come from digitizing that in the future. That's our first project. It was the most mature one, and it's the one we have strong support from the industry, but also from the patients who also, want something that is more user-friendly.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. We'll have, by the way, of course, the possibility to ask questions at the end of the webinar, also dedicatedly to the experts we have online. So let's go on to provenance proof and Clemens Link. First question I have for you. What is the history of provenance proof on the one hand, and when did you have the idea for this project, for this types of operations?
Yes, that comes together actually. Provenance proof actually started as an initiative in 2016, and coming from a gemological, so a gemstone laboratory. Gemstone laboratories actually, they're quite some on Earth, and they all have the same duty. Actually, they look at gemstones and they give out a report, they give out an opinion on the quality and the authenticity of a gemstone, but not more than that, and all is based on scientific data. Nevertheless, at that time, actually, we thought it might be interesting to make more information about gemstones available. So it's going towards transparency. We thought the interest of the consumer actually would be there, and also of, let's say, miners or gemstone cutters, dealers, wholesalers, and jewelers might also be there to make their added values more transparent. And since this is not possible to trace back a gemstone just due to the scientific properties, we decided to turn it around actually, and we decided to develop technologies which enable traceability actually the other way around. So let's say marking a gemstone and so on. And now today talking about digital technologies and blockchain in particular, one of our most important products actually is, or let's say one of the visions we had already at that time, 2016, was to develop a software actually that enables any stakeholder in the industry, any stakeholder within the supply chain, including jewelers, to actually create or handle a digital logbook to each and every asset they have. So let's say to each and every gemstone, pearl, or similar. And this is what we tried to make possible, and that is what we made possible. So basically what we wanted to enable was to create digital twins that travel throughout the supply chain, that pick up the story behind at every stage within the supply chain, and to make the stories and to make also the transparency and traceability available afterwards to anyone who owns the gemstone or later who owns the jewelry piece. The aspect of end consumer passing on the transparency to end consumers to have a communication directly from people within the supply chain, from entities in the supply chain, all the way to the consumer. And trusted one was very important for us. 2016 was still quite early, to be honest, when it comes to blockchain technology, in particular to traceability and transparency products based on blockchain technology. So obviously, we also looked into centralized systems first to make the software available to everyone. But we just figured out actually blockchain brought features with it that really helped us. So it's not only about the decentralized character, it's also of the high level of encryption. It's also about the immutability. Once a chapter is written, a block is created, it cannot be changed. And yeah, altogether, blockchain technology did enable us to balance out between privacy, transparency, and trust in communication. We created the software. It is called Provenance Proof Blockchain. We launched it in 2019, January 2019, and it's not anymore a use case. It is applied. It's widely accepted. I think it's since then continuously growing. So regarding the assets, regarding the stakeholders, we have companies and stakeholders, users, professional users, I don't know, more than 700 or around 700 from 60 countries or something. We have something like 5.5 million assets traveling through the blockchain. Some of them already went to consumers. It's continuously growing. This is where we are. And that's the story behind Provenance Proof. And maybe one last thing, to enable it, to make it accessible to the industry and to scale it as much as we can, to establish an industry standard, we decided around 2019, 2020 to actually spin off Provenance Proof, not anymore as an initiative of a GemLab, into its own company, into its own entity. And yeah, that's when I spun myself off into that company as well, running now the company.
Thank you very much, Clemens. Maybe if we circle a bit back, so you gave a very nice overview over the process chain. How does this, just in detail, this process chain start? So what is like the initial type of acts once you kind of register a certain gemstone? That would be interesting to understand further.
Yes. Registration is already a very important point. So it was very important for us and also for the vision behind that we make it as inclusive as possible. The supply chain of gemstones in particular is very diverse and very, I don't know, you have very small players from all over the world in very remote, also very poor regions, and you have very big players on the other side. And it was important for us to make it accessible to everyone. So everyone who adds value should benefit also through transparency. That is why we wanted to make the limitations as easy as possible. It is fully web-based until today, but registration is important. It is a permissioned blockchain. It's a permissioned ledger we're working in. This has legal reasons, and it has also legal reasons to make the data more reliable, of course. Basically, you sign up once, it's for free. Most features are for free. Any feature which is needed to communicate or read or find out transparency and the story behind stays for free. And once you signed up, you have your login. Let's say you have your digital vault the same way you have your physical vault. And it's a very simple process. You just click on add gemstone or add gemstones. It depends on if you want to handle one stone by another, if you're a very small entity, or if you have a, I don't know, inventory management system behind, and they're like more fancy connective points and mass upload functions and so on. Once you upload or once you want to create a new asset, so a new digital twin, There is a guided process through. It's very simple. It's like 3 steps, and it tells you what to upload, what information is mandatory, wherever there is mandatory information needed. We try to make it as simple as, you know, giving you drop-down solutions and so on to fill out. So what gemstone type is it? What color is behind? Features that are also necessary to re-identify the physical twin, or to see if the physical twin and the digital twin are the same or are connected with each other. There are multiple possibilities just to easily drag and drop or upload images, videos of your, I don't know, corporate responsibility behind, of projects you have in the background or whatever. So it's always about, and not just transparency in principle, it's about bringing authenticity into the game. It's about showing compliance to certain legal, or let's say additional commitments you do, but it's also about storytelling. And but storytelling now in a more entrusted way, and you want to reach with your story the consumer, or potentially further on someone in the supply chain. So it's important that it stays reliable and it stays in your words. And we offer multiple possibilities within a simple process to upload, to create a digital twin. Once you have created your digital twin, that means you have now 2 vaults, let's say, the digital one and the physical one. Let's say you sell a gemstone to a jeweler. What you do is you transfer actually the digital twin then to the jeweler as well, simply by entering their username or their password and say transfer and confirm it, and that's it. You don't have it anymore afterwards, and you don't have insights into it anymore. It's like the physical asset. It's a unique token, which then is in the hand of the next possessing person of the gemstone. At the end, it goes to the consumer. There we make a small difference. You don't have to sign up and register. We don't do a KYC check on you, of course, if you're a consumer. At the point of sales, if you want to pass on the digital twin of a jewelry piece then to a consumer, you just enter an email address they give, and they can invent a username, and they will receive a login, a consumer login, and their own password afterwards, to always have the digital twin available.
Excellent. That is really insightful. Now, maybe last question in this context. Obviously, you are focusing on gemstones. The same kind of procedure, of course, can be used or would be able to be used.
Very sorry, Tina, if it is.
Yes.
I think it was. Oh, can you still hear me?
Yes. So the same kind of process. I think you are slightly. Now you're back. Excellent. So you're using this process for gemstones, obviously. Of course, it would be usable for other types of assets as well. Have you thought about that, or have you had requests in this respect? Maybe just briefly on that.
Yes. I mean, there was a very exciting time in the blockchain industry, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And when we came up with this use case, and I don't know, there were competitors, there were friendly competitors, and there were similar approaches all over the industry. So pharma and whatever. And we were often asked, but I think 2 key features that come together is, one is you need to know the technology or have a good technology partner. And the second one is you need to have insights in the industry. So we were discussing this for quite a while, and we extended it. We extended it into jewelry and into, let's say, other type of gem and precious material. But we decided, I mean, the key figures, the unique selling points, if you want, so from our side, are within this industry. And this is why we do stay so far within the industry. And let's say, I mean, we do go broader, of course. We do think about tokenization and about, you know, enabling finance and insurance and so on, but always with a focus on jewelry and on precious material. But we were always also in the network with other people. That's one advantage of Switzerland, actually, and discussing with similar projects in other industries. Yes, we're very open there. We help each other.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So let's go on to Jonathan. Vetri Foundation, similar questions here. I mean, when was your first personal contact with blockchain? And then how did the story go about with the Vetri Foundation itself?
Thank you, Tina. The first touch point was from my previous career where I come from investment banking. So I was working with banks initially as an operator on the markets in London and then in Switzerland. But I then moved to technology companies, to fintech, where we design platform to exchange those financial instruments. And when I took the lead of a digital strategy of an investment bank here in Switzerland, the idea arose in 2015, 2016, that we wanted to start proving the provenance, a bit as what Clement and Daniel said about the financial asset and how they're exchanged, and to provide a bit more transparency. I rapidly realized that innovating into for banks was not that easy. I wanted a bit more, and I jumped into this technology exclusively and created two companies. The one is Vetri, which is a non-for-profit foundation, and we'll speak about it in a second. The other one was Verum Capital, which is still live today and has developed a consulting capabilities, able not only to understand how to use blockchain back in 2017, 2018, to help groups, like large groups, how to understand the technology and how to deploy concrete solutions. And rapidly we realized that it was not enough to understand how blockchain works. It's the complex part is to make it work, to do it for our clients. And therefore we started to deploy and develop solution for governments, for large corporates, but also we took the responsibility to start teaching about it. So we created a course, for example, here in Switzerland at the MBA of St. Gallen University, a blockchain course to explain from a business point of view, how does it work and how do you use blockchain technology. I've done that for 4.5 years of really consulting and deploying solution for other groups. And I always had Vetri on the side where I was taking care of it and developing the solution. And last year, I decided to stop all my other activities to focus on Vetri. And why that is, I think Vetri has a double mission. Technological mission to provide the technology to individuals and enable each and every one of us as individuals to control our personal data and decide who can have access to it. And whatever they do, if your data is used in an economic transaction, you should be paid for this transaction, as Google, Facebook, and all the large tech companies are doing. They're selling our data for a price. And not only we don't know what they do with our data, but they earn a lot of money. Here, the idea is that we decentralized everything. We take the concept of blockchain, simply said, just think of it as digital integrity of your data. And we make sure that you can control this assets as an asset, meaning that you control who has access to it. You notify it whenever anyone has access to it, and you're being paid whenever someone is using it, and we push it further. And now I only do this activity of Vetri with the foundation, but it has also a social and a cultural impact to it. It's important that we protect our democracies with our values of confidentiality and privacy. And I think what seems to be very normal in our traditional environment, in the physical world, where whatever you own, whatever you do, whatever you are, okay, belongs to you, and that's fine. In the digital space, nothing works the same, and it's not logic when our activity is just growing bigger and bigger in the digital space, and it can threaten also our own democracy, if you believe in democracy, of course. But blockchain can be thought and perceived as one of the purest form of democracy, enabling each and everyone to eventually have a say in a common good, which is a public infrastructure. So this is how I came into the topic, and why now I dedicate myself 100% to Vetri for the social aspect of it and for the economic and really business-driven impacts of our data.
Excellent, thank you. And would you like to share a bit more details on how the data is then effectively being controlled, just very briefly?
Yes, so first of all, we're a live solutions, meaning that we created an app which is live in 6 countries, the USA, which is our biggest market, Canada, Australia, and in Europe, we're live in the UK, Germany, and France. Not yet in Switzerland, because we don't have specific partners yet, but we can easily open into new countries as soon as we have some partners. Which type of partners are we talking about? We're talking about partners that are interacting with data. Either they need the data to interact with their clients, and this is why we started off Vetri as a go-to-market strategy on the survey business. Why the survey business? Is because it's the closest market, which is B2C, involving businesses and individuals with their opinions. And the way we match and we sell your opinion to the people interested to buy it is in understanding a bit who you are and enabling you to control your gender, your age, your social and demographic information. And we take this information, we match it with available surveys, and we send you a notification whenever you match to one of these surveys. Once you do so, you do a survey and you're being paid for that. It was just to prove that we were able to do the matching, and that our technologies that run on chain, okay, we only use smart contract, can scale. We distributed 6 million of notification in 2022 in these 6 countries. And we have about 400,000 downloads of our app, okay? So all that to say that blockchain is available and works on a day-to-day basis. But doing surveys is not really selling your data. It's you take time, you answer questions, and you're being paid for sharing your opinions. That's not the most exciting thing that we can do. What we're doing right now is that we've joined the accelerator of a large media group in France, have about 150 million readers per month, where we're going to enable each individuals through the app, through the Vetri app, to control their information. Okay, let's remain simple, age and gender, for example. Based on that, if you decide to share this information with the publisher, so you go to read an article, you're going to be able to filter all the ads you're going to see around that. And this has a lot of value for the publisher. This is how they earn money. And what we tell them is that not only are you going to respect the data privacy and consent of the user in asking them their opinion, but also because you're going to earn more money for being able to target precisely the ads you're going to see or we're going to see online, you distribute part of your revenues not to Google or Facebook to know who's coming to your website, to the individual for enabling this targeting. And this is exactly what we are implementing now. And the next step is with the retailers. Let me think of it. We have an example in the US with Walmart, for example. You go shopping. The same way we can distribute the ads when you go online to read some news, we can do that in a physical environment. And whenever you're going to enter, or our users in the US going to take their phone into Walmart, they're going to be targeted for sharing their age and gender, for example, with all the brands which are distributed within Walmart. Okay, and they're going to receive a welcome notification that can give them up to $2 for being targeted by Coca-Cola if you match the criteria of Coca-Cola, or Colgate if you match Colgate information. And that's improved everyone. Not only no one knows exactly who I am, they only know that I'm a male with this specific attribute that I have, but no one knows that I'm really Jonathan Yamas. So my privacy is preserved. I decide whether or not I want to share this information. And because this information has value, I'm the one receiving the full value. The retailer is happy. They have increased the market power of the individuals. The brands are spending money only to their targets. And we can then rethink the complete approach of the individuals within Walmart, meaning that you forget about the promotion that are not targeted to you. You're going to only see things which are relevant to you, meaning that if the diapers are on sale right now, and I'm not interested anymore in diapers because my kids are just older, and I'm more interested into olive oil, the promotion I will see will be based on my actual data and not based on the actual promotion that they have decided for the larger groups. So it's really, how can you reinvent the relationship, the customer engagement between brands and individuals using a public infrastructure? And this is where it's important to be a non-for-profit foundation. We don't want to be the new Google. We want to enable the individuals to control everything. And this is why we have added into our bylaws of the foundation that we will never monetize our users' information. And this is where also we're investing a lot into data privacy layer, where the idea is that your data never leaves your phone anymore. Even us enabling all that will not have access to your data. This is what we call zero knowledge proof, meaning that we're going to be able to share your information, for example, Tina, without knowing that you're Tina. We're going to be able to share your information without revealing your personal information, and the buyer will still be interested into buying it because they know that you're a woman for sure, and you have chosen to share this information with them. So this is the confidentiality layer that we add on top of all that.
Excellent. So it looks like a very bright future for all of us. That's good. We do have a second part of the webinar, so to say. So it's the Swiss way. We called it trust, innovation, and legal certainty. So it's interesting. We have representative from a Swiss association, Swiss foundation, and also a limited liability company. So and combining this topic with a question from the audience, actually, which reads, what makes Switzerland a strong location for blockchain-driven businesses? Any threat or opportunities? I would like to get back to Daniel with the association. So why did you choose a Swiss association for PharmaLedger?
Yeah, I think we when we first started to reach out about blockchain, because okay, it's a team sport, we can't do it on our own. All of a sudden we find a lot of like-minded partners, right? You know, across the river, so they say in Basel. But so there, you know, blockchain is about a network, right? And so there is a network in Switzerland, and we have the large, I mean, from a healthcare perspective, we were, of course, you know, Basel is life sciences hub, Switzerland's the life sciences hub, many headquarters here or have a presence there, but it's not just big companies, it's also smaller companies and that are, of course, the Crypto Valley and everything like that. And also academia. So, you know, we sponsored or were a sponsor at the University of Basel Blockchain Challenge. My colleague and I gave a lecture on blockchain at University of Zurich on Friday. And we were in many other events that were related, you know, conferences and things like that. So there was a huge network that is already existing. And the other aspect of it, of course, we think, you know, blockchain's around trust. We wanted to have a Swiss association. We wanted to have a not-for-profit, and the not-for-profit as a legal form is quite, you know, easy to establish, and also relatively flexible from a you know, from a bylaws perspective and everything. And it was also quite similar to the success that we had in our project, which is based on your traditional governance model. You have a general assembly where everybody has one vote. You have directors, you know, so annual meetings and everything like this. So this is exactly the kind of the setup that you can have with a Swiss association. So I think, you know, from that perspective, the network, the flexibility or the I think how the good fit of a Swiss association was the reason why we chose it.
Yeah, so you summarized it already yourself. That's great. Thank you, Daniel. Maybe Clemens, obviously you're within a Swiss structure. Nevertheless, you could have chosen another jurisdiction for the concrete undertaking of proof. How did that come about, Switzerland as the location?
Well, actually, yes, you're right. I mean, we're in the fortunate situation of having a family behind us as financial security. Let's say that has a tradition in Switzerland. But nevertheless, I mean, part of our success story definitely is connected to some features which I don't know if they're unique in Switzerland, but they're available and accessible in a good way. I think one thing was mentioned, this is the network, this is the surrounding and the environment. Actually, you do have very, very, let's say in a professional, but even in a, let's say, more personal area, you have people and networks that are very, very open to new opportunities, to new technologies, to the application and new technologies without much skepticism behind. The other thing is you have a great infrastructure actually to develop new products and to apply new technology. There's one thing I do want to mention, actually, one feature they want, because we used it and it was very successful. So there's something in Switzerland that is called InnoSwiss, and that is given by the authorities. It's actually supporting financially and knowledge-wise supporting your developments, your R&D. If you're a small company or mid-sized company and you can't afford the R&D on yourself, you can apply there for fund. And you can apply there for knowledge, because it always goes hand in hand, not only the funding, but also you will have a partner from an institution in the Swiss government. This can be the CSEM, where you can talk to and where you can work with actually technology partners in the need of what you do have. So I don't know, IT, AI, blockchain, they do have the specialists there, and then together with the InnoSwiss funding, they will actually work and develop a product for you, which is a great thing. I mean, it's enormous, and I do know other countries, maybe they're similar, but I'm not aware of any other country where you can access easily and simply, straightforward access such a support. And it's very proactive, so they help you actually. You don't apply, you don't go there with your, I don't know, questions and so on. They actually help you to fill out your things, to make them fit well and so on. That's a great step forward. Another thing, I mean, if I was not in a fortunate situation, or our company was not in a fortunate situation, I mean, we do sometimes think about it too, of course. Switzerland capital is accessible when it comes to pitching for fund, going into fundraising rounds and so on. There is private and there's institutional money available with the willingness to invest in digital technology, new technologies, and it's fairly easily actually to get into those rounds and to be able to pitch in front of relevant institutions. Another very interesting point I find, which I've benefited a lot from, is that other big companies, international big companies, often have their knowledge, or let's say their development centers based in Switzerland, based around Zurich and other hubs within Switzerland. And you meet these people, it's a very international environment, and you can always exchange information and get some good ideas or inspirations when you need them.
These are very good points, especially also for our international audience. Maybe one question for the InnoSwiss, because that's, I guess, of particular interest. Anyone can apply, basically, for this kind of program.
They do have certain criteria. I don't know them by heart, to be honest, but they're available in many languages on their homepage, and it's very easy to contact them. My recommendation is to first actually go to one of the accepted Swiss public research institutions which work together with InnoSwiss, then to find out if the idea makes sense, which you want to develop and want to turn out into a real product, and then apply with them together. Because an application needs two sides. It needs you and it needs a research partner with it. But it's very straightforward. There are some limitations. I think you have to be very transparent and open, of course, regarding your company, the history of your company, and the revenues you create. You have to show a proper business model behind your idea. But it was a process. Applying was a process of maybe, I can't remember, a few months, and then the confirmation, let's say if it's positive or negative, if it is accepted, takes maybe another 3 months or something. And then it goes on. I mean, then you can continue. It's really an added value, and it's used a lot from what I hear also from other companies.
Excellent. Thank you for these valuable insights. Thank you. Now, Jonathan, you have set up a Swiss Foundation. Plus, you have not only insights from the corporate perspective, but also with the Swiss Financial Market Supervisory Authority, FINMA. Would you like to share a few points?
Yes, and I think it was very much important for us to be able to find this kind of support back in 2017 when we started our ICO. I don't know if everyone is familiar with the concept of ICO, but we raised some funds back in 2017, requested some funds in exchange of our own tokens to be able to finance our activities initially. We could go to the FINMA, explain them exactly what we wanted to build, and submitted our application to the FINMA. They could read through all the documentation we provided them with and have a clear statement that given the information we gave them, okay, and based on the information that we're requesting the funds to investors for, there's absolutely no issue in running our activities, nor requiring specific licenses from the local authorities to run our activity. That in itself, back in these days, was one of the most advanced relationship you could get with the local regulator, which regulate the banks, in order for us to have the legal certainty that we could go on with our activity. Not meaning that we were fully secured, just meaning that there was this basic understanding and recognition of what we wanted to do in this very innovative world, saying that so far, you have proven that it's okay, you can go on. Should there be any risk, issue, doubt in the future, we'll be in touch. And that's something that was very different to all the other jurisdictions that we have studied actually for us to run our activities. And the decision was that both activities, Verum Capital, simple consulting activities and technology company, and the foundation that issued their own token was a safe home in Switzerland. And that was a big aspect of things. When developing for the past 5 years, a lot of solution for our client with Verum Capital, we most of the time run jurisdiction analysis based on our client. They were based all over the world. Most often than not, the best suited jurisdiction was Switzerland, even though all the other activities were run from different spaces. So it was for us a very good choice, and it still is. Why? It's because there's a very clear approach to innovation in Switzerland. Let's be technology agnostic. Let's try to understand what the technology is looking to achieve, rather than trying to regulate the technology that we cannot understand fully at this stage in time. And I think that's a very convenient thing to do for us entrepreneurs that have a lot of risk to mitigate. Not having this regulation risk is a big plus, of course, but also then Switzerland, I mean, has a very good reputation from a financial point of view, from a political point of view, from all the other areas, which has a lot of stability. Why do I say that? Is because in blockchain technology and in cryptocurrency, you've seen a lot of smaller jurisdictions positioning themselves with blockchain rules. The downside was that it's small jurisdiction with a lot of other type of risk. Might be political, might be reputational, might be different things. And this is why, again, I think Switzerland was a very good choice for us, even though, as you can see, we're not live in Switzerland. Most of our activities are abroad. So that was true for us as a small company. What was true for larger companies, and I think it's important to have that in mind, is that when you want to launch blockchain activities, it's a good process. It has proven to be good so far, to dissociate and segregate the operation, the regular and standard operations with your own companies, and the blockchain activities segregated in Switzerland. So whether you're in Switzerland or you're outside of Switzerland, I think it's a very good approach to anyway segregate activities, specifically when you go to innovation and you're not sure and you have something to lose, like a reputation or a product and a big audience or large client base. Segregate your activities and choose a well-positioned regulation that can understand your new activity.
Excellent. So I take from that you are still happy that you chose Switzerland for the foundation. That is, of course, excellent. Now let's use the
Tina, if I may add,
please.
I think another important thing that is very often miss or underestimate was that the whole ecosystem was okay with blockchain technology, meaning that we could open a bank account to run our activities, which was something, again, I go back to 2017, 2018, was not even conceivable in other countries. Even today, we have a lot of companies, a lot of startups starting their blockchain activities. And even though the regulator, the local regulator would allow the activities, you cannot find the partners you need to run the company. And having a bank account is a requirement, an important requirement to run an activity. And this is also what here in Switzerland that we could not find somewhere else, and which is getting easier and easier in many other countries too, but also here.
Excellent, thank you. Now, just the last few minutes, we'll go into some of the questions we received from the audience. Clemens also already elaborated on the type of blockchain they are using. Question from the audience, they would like to know which blockchains do you use in your project? So maybe if Daniel or Jonathan would like to add to that from the technical perspective, but also Clemens, of course, feel free to add how you came to your conclusion as a permission blockchain, for instance.
Very briefly, if I may comment, we built everything on Ethereum blockchain. Okay, we wanted a public infrastructure, and we had to use also a private infrastructure for many reasons. What we did is that we copy-pasted, because it's open architecture, Ethereum blockchain, and recreated our own private blockchain using the same blockchain, enabling us to take the same smart contract, whether we go on chain with Ethereum or in our private chain. And now, because we're live and Ethereum has quite heavy or quite expensive gas price for running transaction on their environment, we are actually this week migrating to Polygon to enable our users to use another chain than Ethereum. Our approach was to be very pragmatic. We go where the volume is, where most of the developers, most of the projects are being developed, which was Ethereum. And then, not being able to run all of our activities on Ethereum because of the prices, we took an EVM compatible, meaning that you can use the same smart contract that you use on Ethereum on Polygon, and we just have to change one endpoint, almost, to use the same backend that we use, the smart contract, onto the Polygon chain, for example. And for us, it was just because, again, Polygon is being used broadly and widely in the world, and that gives us a good confidence about this specific chain, but we don't have any preferences.
Excellent. Anything to add, Daniel?
I'd just say very similar approach. I mean, FarmLedger is technology agnostic. We don't want to have lock-in, and we also assume that the protocols that we're using today will be replaced by something better, cheaper, more public in the future. So our architecture is also built on open source solutions, and we do architect it in such a way that that we can interchange then protocols in the future.
Excellent. Clemens, anything from the technical side?
No, our blockchain, our main blockchain product is based on Hyperledger, so it's a private blockchain system. And for various reasons too, I know there's the discussion between private, public, and so on. Is one really considered a blockchain or not? We were also agnostic, of course, and our first attempt, 2016, our first discussion was not, do we use a private or do we use public blockchain? It was, do we use a centralized server? Or are we going into some distributed technology at all? And we did different experiments. We worked in Ethereum already 2016, 2017. It was at that time not very successful or not very manageable. I mean, you always have to think of practicality, right? You don't want to only build something which is academically really like perfect to the end. You also want to build something which is accessible, which is usable, which is easy to understand. You cannot force someone who doesn't know anything about crypto to open a crypto wallet first, to pay the gas fees for transactions, and so on. You know, you have to make it accessible. And private blockchain, no, not private, sorry, permitted ledger is needed for legal requirements for us anyhow, even though now there are solutions to do that with an underlying public blockchain, I am aware. We started at that time, then we joined also together with technology partners to help us to build this actually. And at that time, definitely, I mean, it was already a big experiment to try it out with Hyperledger and Hyperledger fabrics and so on. We are glad it's out. We use the advantages of blockchain. It's not only about decentralized, it's not only about public storage, let's say, but it's also the very high level of encryption, of course, which we like. It's a benefit which we use is the uniqueness of each and every token, right? And of course, the immutability, that means once something is written, it is there and cannot be changed anymore. These are advantages you have on both blockchain systems. Nevertheless, we are always prospecting into new technologies. We're always prospecting into new changes. On Ethereum, we have done some experiments where we connected our assets together with public blockchain on top. So with Ethereum actually, and let's say the different chains below them. But at the moment, still, it's still hitting the usability actually. So we always have to decide how can we make it accessible, and it really goes into practical terms there too. I mean, we really don't want to exclude anyone using it. If people say it must be distributed further on, we are open to anyone in the industry. Anyone can take up their own node and so on, and be a real stakeholder, be a real member of the blockchain. And maybe one day, if it comes easy and if we see it make affordable also, actually we might change the underlying blockchain, or our partners will change the underlying blockchains. We are open there.
Excellent. So in the interest of time, very quick closing round. Each one has 2 or 3 sentences to answer the very simple question: what will your business look like in 3 to 5 years, and what will the state of blockchain be by then? Just 2-3 sentences, please. Daniel, maybe starting off.
I think we're going to have a very similar structure. even if we're widely successful, we don't, want to become a new central authority or create another, big organization. But we'll have a huge demand, and we'll see accelerated transformation within the industry and the ecosystem.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Well, we're targeting 1 million users this year. In 3 to 4 years, most probably 10 million users. And we want to challenge the economic model of the big tech companies, Google, Facebook, and enable real users to take control over the data and data privacy. So it's both a social mission where we want to have an impact and help our society to grow better, but also an economic mission where we can push individuals to have like a universal basic income based on their data, or an equivalent to it based on their the value of their data.
Thank you. And Clemens.
For us, the question is not where we see us in 5 years. The question is where we see the market in 5 years, and let's say the global market and industry. And we see the market in a much stronger demand on transparency, on entrusted data, and so on, for legal reasons, for big companies, and also for our interest for the consumers. And we do think that decentralization will be much more important when it comes to finance, when it comes to insurance, when it comes to ownership-backed unique tokens, and so on. We see us as in the position to make those features, those technologies available to our wider industry. So I think we're growing together with the new demand and the new changes of the market.
And Clemens has a very important point there. It's important to note that not only the European Commission, but also the Web3 Association and Consortium is moving to this decentralized approach of data in general and digital identity also. So it's moving into this decentralized approach where individuals are valued and self-sovereign over their own assets in general.
Excellent. It seems we all still have enough to do. That's very good. Thank you very much to you all experts for the lively discussion. I'm handing over back again to Sirpa.
Thank you, Tina. Yeah, also from my side, the only thing left here is to say a big thank you to Clemens, Tina, Dan, and Jonathan for joining us and sharing your insights on the topic. And for the participants, thank you for joining, and I hope we were able to bring you Switzerland, or why Switzerland for blockchain, a little bit closer. And if you have any follow-up questions or would like to dive deeper into that conversation, please reach out to us. I put in a chat our email address, but you also will get an email from us after that presentation, and also the recording, the link for the recording. So with this, I would like to close and wish everyone a great afternoon. Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.